I'm going to have to use every bit of restraint I have not to bombard you with example after example after example of cool stuff because KREA has gone KREA-easy. Welcome back to the channel where we discuss the creative uses of AI. And if you've been following the channel for a while, you may have seen some of our previous coverage on the KREA platform. Initially an image generation platform, it added upscaling and enhancing, and then a really cool animation tool, and now they add video. But they didn't just bring you one video technology. No, they've combined all the big players. So with this one subscription, you have access to Luma, Runway, various versions of Kling, and Minimax, with more to come. And they've done something similar with their image generation, and that's what we're going to start with. So strap in, it's going to get cool. As I alluded to, I'm going to have to show a lot of constraint not to just show you example after example. My goal here now is to be as concise as possible, give you a high-level overview of what's possible, and then invite you to go over there and try it yourself if you should so choose. As you watch this video, I want you to be thinking about the subscription services you currently pay for. Are you paying for image generation? Are you currently paying for video generation? Maybe with a couple of platforms like me. And as you watch this, I'd like you to evaluate for yourself, because I don't know, whether or not this one subscription might replace several of your others. We're going to start with image generation. We'll access that right at the top. They are featuring the Flux model like so many others are, but they have their own version of it that is super fast. Just wait till you check it out. Now, as I said, you can choose from the Flux model, but you also have access to Ideogram 2, which has been talked about a lot lately, and a turbo version of Ideogram. And in addition to their version of Flux, we also have access to Flux 1.1 Pro and Flux 1.1 Pro Ultra, stuff I've never even had access to anywhere else. Let's play with these real quick with a simple prompt and show you some of the cool new stuff. In addition to these new models, they've added image prompting, which allows you to upload an image as a starting point for something new that you create. We're going to demonstrate all of that right now. So let's just first choose their Flux model, and I'll show you why it's so special. It's super fast. If you've run Flux on your own machine or anything like that, you may realize that Flux is kind of known for being slow. They do have models that can speed that up, but this is the fastest stuff I've ever seen. Let's just do a simple prompt. A woman is drinking coffee in a diner. This is their basic Flux model. I'm not changing anything. We're going to go over both of these in a second, but let's just click generate. Now watch how quick that's happening. That is insanely fast for a Flux model. And these are full resolution images that I can click into, and you'll see that these are excellent quality. If you're paying attention, you'll notice that you have access to video right here, which means that at any time you can take one of these images and throw them into any of the video generation models that the platform gives you. We're going to do that later for sure. But here's something extremely cool that they've added. I've talked a lot about creating LoRa so that you can put your own face or your friends and family into these images, and they have added that ability here, and it is even faster than the fastest solution I have shared with you so far. Let's first see what it'll do. Right here is the style button, and in addition to all the different styles that you may be used to in a platform like this to make it look like Pixar, to make it look like ceramic or any of those things, you can now create your own model. So you have the KREA styles, and then you have my styles, and then you have community styles that have been created by the community. Let's focus on my styles here. Right now, I've only trained 2 faces, but in addition to faces, you can also do objects and then an overall look and feel more like a traditional style. Let's choose this model of Tracy that I made. We'll leave it at the default setting. You can change the strength just by clicking and dragging up and down right here. We're going to leave it right here. We'll leave the prompt the same and click on generate. And in seconds, now we have Tracy drinking coffee in a diner. These are all excellent likenesses of her. And that's with very little tweaking. But as I said, I can bring it way down, generate it, and this is nothing to generate because it literally takes seconds. So the likeness will be a little bit less, or I can really crank it up and see that may be a little bit too much, or it might just be perfect. But in any case, you've got a lot of flexibility. But you don't have to stop there. You can also add other styles on top of that. If I wanted to add this painterly effect, I could bring that in here, adjust it how I'd like. I took the Tracy model down a little bit, had this fully up, and now we've got the essence of her here. So obviously we can play with it. But just to show you, you can keep layering styles on top of that and get different results. Play with all the values, click generate, and within a few seconds, you've got results. How do we build those models? Super simple. Let's click on train over here, and it will tell you to upload 3 or more images. And if you've watched any of my other videos about training LoRa's on faces, you know that I like to start with around 20 images. So I can just click to upload images. We'll upload about 20 pictures of my amazing VA and editor Presley, and we'll just send those up. Once it uploads, it'll give you an indication of how we're doing down here. The number of images we've got good, all the way up to 50 it will take, and then the average resolution is good. So I didn't get too far into the details of what you want to upload, but anytime you're doing a face or an object, you want multiple views of it, you want different lighting, you want different locations, so that the model can create some varieties. You'll see that it's actually disqualified a few of these, I think, because they may think that she's a child because she looks young. So I'm just going to take these out. And even with 17, it still shows as good. It gives it a default name based on what it's seeing, but you can name it whatever you'd like. There are additional settings here. Here is where you can choose whether or not you're doing a style or an object or a character or default. When I did the models for me and Tracy, I just used default. If I was going to do a cat or maybe a cartoon character, I would do the character. But for the faces, I'm choosing default. You can try whatever you'd like. You can really get away without even opening that up and click Train AI. It goes into pending status, and then within just a few minutes, you've got a fully trained model ready to go. Once it's done, it actually generates some sample images. It did some unfortunate stuff with my teeth here because, well, anyway, and then you can immediately jump and test the model. You just click on Use with Flux, and now I can give you an example of the image type of prompt. A man is at an ATM. Click on Generate. I didn't really give it many details, but you can see it quickly came up with some images. There I am at an ATM looking machine. But if we were to give it a better prompt, like I use this glyph tool, a man at an ATM, create a prompt that Flux likes more with more details. Copy that, replace that prompt, click on Generate, and now we've got something much more visually interesting. And in just seconds. Let's start a whole new project and go through each of these models and show you the differences. So we're just going to start from scratch. We'll describe a picture. Let's get rid of this style here. We'll keep the model of Tracy here, and we'll use what I hope proves to be an interesting prompt. It is a photorealistic woman in a whimsical chocolate wonderland sits at a vibrant mushroom table. Melting chocolate waterfalls cascade nearby. Handwritten neon sign glows. If it's not fun, forget it. Amidst swirling cocoa dust and golden afternoon light. So let's start with the basic Flux model, and we have Tracy selected, no other styles at this point. Generate, and very quickly, here we have her, and let's get a closer look at these images. We are having a little bit of trouble reading this text here, but we do have her sitting at a whimsical mushroom table. If it's not get, not can, nor get sun. And now this is a fun one. Ice hot, fun, forget sut. We'll just leave that one there. And if it's not fun, forget ut. Now there are varying degrees of similarity going on here with her. That's when I would adjust this up a little bit. But I've shown you an example of Flux, and you know with some tweaking it can get great. Let's check out what these other models can do with the exact same prompt. So when I go to Ideogram, now I lose the ability to use Tracy for the model anymore. So it's just going to be straight up a woman, but let's see what we got here. Now, you'll notice it is not as fast as that Flux model. It takes a few more seconds to do it. It's certainly not slow by any means, except compared to what we just saw with that Flux model that is special for the KREA platform. When we get to the Pro models of the Flux, you'll see that we also have these longer generation times. Now, Ideogram is known for having unique designs and the ability to deal with text, so we definitely have If It's Not Fun, Forget It. Although this isn't nearly as photorealistic, this woman doesn't really look that real to me. Here's another one. If it's not fun, forget it. So the text worked out much better with this model. Let's go to Ideogram 2.0 Turbo and see how turbo it really is. We click on Generate, and we'll look at this progress bar. And yes, it's definitely moving along faster than the other Ideogram model. Still not as fast as that Flux model, though. Very similar results to the other one. And when we look at these images from Ideogram, you'll notice that the weak link is probably the person. But if you just look at the design elements, they're extraordinary. And I have no particular expertise in prompting for Ideogram either. I just wanted to show you the general idea of the differences between the models. If it's not fun, forget it. Wait, if it's not fun, forget it. What are we saying there? Now let's move to the Flux 1.1 Pro model and generate that. This is really cool, very whimsical. If it's not fun, forget it. We definitely got the, no wait, if it's not fun, forget fun. That's funny. If it's not fun, forget. That's a good philosophy, isn't it? But the graphical elements are gorgeous, and with tweaking, as anybody knows who does AI generation stuff, you never just give it one chance and then give up on it. I would tweak this until I get something I really like. Finally, let's look at the Flux 1.1 Pro Ultra and click on Generate. Oh my, okay, there's a lot of detail going on here. Man, okay. Chocolate everywhere. This is gorgeous. If it's not fun, forget it. I love it. It's like, forget it. It's not fun. Forget it. Okay, I beat that one. If it's not fun in, forget it. Aside from the details of the text, which we could probably tweak and do with multiple prompting, how it interpreted the prompt is really, really cool. Checking the progress of the training, you can see how quickly it's moving. It's like 2% every second. That's insane. As we continue to let that train, let's go back over here with this model where we're using my model here, and I'll show you how to use an image as a prompt. All you want to do is click this button here that says Add Image, and now you can choose any image as a guide. Take an image like this and we'll upload that as our driving image. So now again, I can adjust the strength of it here. So let's take that up and we'll keep my strength going. I won't type anything and just click generate. And there you go. I can come over to Pinterest, find a suit I like and go, I wonder how I'd look in that. Bring it in as my guiding image, bring up the strength and click generate. And just like that, I get to see several different varieties of me in that suit. I can play with the strength if I want the face to be a little bit more like me. Super easy. Let's go check out how the training's doing. There it is. You'll see it's already ready. Click on Use with Flux. Woman playing chess with a dog on the beach. Generate. Woman eating pizza. Woman eating pizza on the beach. And we'll give it a style. So easy, so freaking fast. And leads us right into video. Let's say we want to see her eating this pizza. We can click on video right here. It's going to bring us into the video interface where now from this menu here, we can choose from any of these video generation models. Luma is the default. It only takes a minute, so we can click and have that starting. We could also embellish that prompt a little bit. Now I can't do multiple instances of Luma, but I could choose another model. For example, Runway is also a fairly quick render, so I could choose that. And let's say eating pizza in the snow. Let's just elaborate on it a little bit. Click on generate. And then finally, I would choose one of these higher quality ones. My favorite, honestly, of these in terms of the quality of the output is Luma, which is Minimax. And if I click on that one and click on generate, well, that one's going to take about 10 minutes to get ready. Let me show you some examples of what I've been working with. This started as a still image of a VW riding by the coast. And with the Luma model, we got this. By the way, all of these are image to video. There aren't any text to video models. So do be aware that even though you have access to the video generation capabilities of these models, you don't necessarily have access to all of the features that you get with these models on their own individual platforms. But you do get the basics. For example, with the Luma model, you have the ability to do a start and end frame. And the same is true with Kling. And if you mouse over this, it tells you everything. With Minimax, for example, it's going to take you about 10 minutes to generate, and you can add a start frame. Luma will take about 1 minute to generate. You can have a start frame and an end frame. Runway, 1 minute. You can have a start frame. Kling allows the start frame and end frame plus camera motion. Same with Kling Pro. Kling 1.5 also has camera motion, but it only has the start frame. So I invite you to try all of these and see what you get because the quality is very different. This is Minimax, and it was just a still image of Bigfoot holding a puppy. If we scroll down, we see another Minimax, which I actually generated by accident. Here's an example of a Runway generation. We've got that slow motion animation. It did add rain back there. You can tell that the visual quality is a little bit different. It's like it's a little bit more baked in than this right here, which I think looks more natural. These were various attempts of getting pictures of Presley to juggle fire. So this was the Runway example. This was the Luma example. We kind of lose what she looks like there after a minute. Here is the Kling Pro example. Here's another attempt with Luma. This yellow thing is actually a cat toy that I made a model of in another program and created some images. So I had this robot holding this cat toy up above the city and had, in this case, Minimax animate it with the prompt, a giant places a huge yellow object down on the ground as people gather around. And I love the way that turned out. These were other videos I attempted with pictures of that same cat toy model. This one was a multi-armed robot stands pounding the pavement, sending people running, but the robot is based on the cat toy. This was Luma's stab at that animation. It's kind of a little crazy, as you can see. Here's Runway, and just like the other one, we've got that slow motion animation, but it is definitely more cohesive, but the people aren't really mulling around. And here we have Kling Pro, where people are definitely moving around. We have animation going on in the city. The robot is a little odd in the way that it's morphing around. It's not really keeping its robotic properties. And then this is Minimax. So we've got a really interesting take here going with the crowd. I'm not saying this is necessarily the best, but it's just still a very interesting take on this animation. The cool part is being able to test them all in one platform. The starting frame was a picture of a parrot coming out of my mouth, and this is Luma's attempt. And again, it sort of twists my face up a little bit. Here is Minimax's attempt. So now we go back on what we did with Presley, and this is Luma's attempt. To be fair, Luma just updated their model, and this is probably not it. This is probably an older model. Will they update it with the new one? I'm not exactly sure. So I don't necessarily want these results here to be how you judge Luma in general, because sometimes the output even here is good. In this case, it's a little bit weird. Here is the Runway version of that, where she put it in her mouth. What's great about this is it basically looks like her throughout the video, but she doesn't really eat the pizza. It's kind of like she changes her mind. And now here is the Minimax. We've got the snow very clearly. Her face does kind of move around weirdly, and I just am noticing their hand is not quite right unless somebody is sitting next to her and reaching over and giving it to you. But still, you can definitely see the general quality differences in these video technologies. And speaking of video, with all of the open source video solutions coming out right now that do not deliver the same kind of quality and resolution as things like Minimax and Kling, having a good video upscaler and enhancer becomes important if you're going to even think about doing anything with some of the content that's created by some of these lower end technologies. And while the examples I'm going to show you aren't necessarily pro ready or ready for any kind of broadcast, they do show you the potential of what this upscaler can do. It will work with images or video, but my interest here is video. And let me just show you some before and after. This is the before. This was actually created in an app called Viggle, which allows you to put a picture of any character into a video and have it do the movement that is defined by a video or something that you give. But the output is certainly low resolution, but when we run it through the upscaler here in KREA, we start to get much more realistic features here. We scroll in here and go back and forth. It goes from being almost cartoonish to much more realistic. This was actually the output of LTX video. I just did a video on recently, and this technology allows you to create a 758 by 512 animation in about 30 seconds on your own machine. This is what LTX generated on its own, but when you run it through the upscaler, let's move in here to some teeth where we can really see the difference here. If we stop it right there, this is before, and that's after. So over here, the people, just a mass of orange, and now we've actually got people there. The boat is just a mess on the before, and then it gets more cohesive. So while it's not perfect, it does a pretty good job. Let's look at another example. This generation was actually from a platform called Vidu, which I've done videos about, which is not integrated into the KREA platform, but this is just to demonstrate that this is a pretty low resolution output. It was based on a text prompt, but with the KREA upscaler and enhancer, we get a lot more details. Let's pause that and just look at the face, how the details of the fur come in. We can look down here at this building. Everything just kind of comes together better. Here we got a big shot of this sloth, and you can see what the enhance does to the fur and the buildings and everything. The fire just brings much more realism to it. This was also done with LTX video with a text prompt of dogs playing poker. This was not driven by any image, just a text prompt, but it's kind of mangled, as you can see. But check this out. Watch those dog faces. This was actually more half person than dog, and it brought a dog into it, still with a little bit of humanity in there. But these over here, these look more like deranged Muppets or something, and then they're dogs. So really, really cool. And because these videos were just a few seconds, it only took a minute or two to get these results. Now I could go on and 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 on, but I want to wrap this up by showing you something that I probably already showed twice before on the channel. It's one of my favorite features of this, but with this enhanced tool and the ability to do animation, it adds a whole other level of fun to it, and that is the real-time image generator. Go under generate and you click on real time, and you have several different ways you can drive the image over here. You can do compose, which basically allows you to have visual elements over here that are going to drive certain aspects of what is going on over here, whether it's light or color or shape, and it's all driven, of course, by the prompt here. That's with the compose feature. The screen feature allows you to use a screen grab from your screen, and then again, that's going to inform what's going on over here. As I scroll through these little images here, the output is affected. Or you can use your webcam, which probably won't work because I'm using it right now, which is the case, but it basically would put exactly what you're seeing on the screen on this side and then drive it the same way that all these other image inputs have. Me, personally, I just like the text part. I don't need any other driving video or whatever. It's too confusing because when I'm moving my head, it changes the image and I don't have much control. What's great about this real-time stuff is it is so fast. Just check this out. A dog, boom, we got a dog. And before I even go any further, I want you to notice what's going on here with the visual style. First, we have our model choice. We have CGI, we have cartoon, and if I was to choose that, it would look like this. If I choose CGI, it looks like this. Concept, it looks like this. Photo, it looks like this. HD, it looks like this, but it also allows me the ability to add these styles just like we did earlier. So if I amp this style, which is basically a lizardy creature, and it's going to affect the dog in that way. If I take the style out completely, we'll see pure dog, right, for this model. And then we have the Flux model, which is also great. But the only model that allows you at this point to do the style changing by adding these images is the HD model. Let's load that for a minute and let's go a dog in a bar. Okay, and now let's go find some fun style, which is referenced in the prompt with this hashtag here. If I delete that, then so does the style. So it seems to be dependent on it. Let's choose another style here. Now we got dog in a bar, and as we bring it down, it gets more and more back to the original image. We can randomize the style just by clicking these little dice here. If you don't like any of these styles, you just find an image that you do like and bring it on in there and adjust to your heart's content. So we go from dog in a bar, and as I roll up the style, we get more and more like the image that it is based on. And if I like it and I want to do something with it, I can either save it just how it is by clicking down here, and then I can bring it into a video model or whatever, or I can click on Quick Enhance, which will in about 10 seconds add a whole other level of detail to this image. If you watch closely, as you see the countdown, just watch the details change when it hits 0. See, now we've got more brightness, just more detail overall. It's not always going to be the answer, and I just realized we've got an extra paw here, so maybe it's not necessarily the best image to go with. But just remember, you can just keep adding styles. If you don't like what's right here, you can click on the magnifying glass and scroll down and find something that you like, and just mix and match all this until you're happy with it. If you click save, it goes into your assets, which makes it really easy to send it into animation if you want to, because you can just click on assets. You'll see everything you've done up here. You can click on the dog and right here turn into video, and you are right back in here into the interface, and you can say a dog in a bar is confused and looking around. And that's the Luma model, so we'll get that going, and then we'll do a Runway version because it's fast, except in addition to looking around, we'll see if he can drool too. Looking around and drooling a lot. Really slobbering all over the place. I like that prompt. I'm going to generate that there. We've already got our generations done with Luma, so he's looking around, and it looks okay here. He kind of looks like it turns sort of cartoony here. There, it does a weird thing. And this is the runway. Now we have him talking. He's, I guess, is panting and water is coming out of his chin. So I guess that's the drooling part. Back in the real-time generator, I've got a dog standing in a bar ordering a drink on Times Square. I've got a picture of me and I got a picture of Times Square in here to drive this image. If I want me to be incorporated a little bit more, I could just keep dragging it up, keep dragging it up. We got 0.82, and now it just starts to do some weird stuff. We can push Times Square up, we can bring it back down, bring in still another style. It's just a great way to do some freestyle brainstorming and then do a quick enhance and see what you get, because sometimes that quick enhance can really make things pop nicely. So there it went from that illustrated style to more of a sort of illustrative type photorealistic HDR kind of image. Save that, go over to assets, load it up, click on turn into video. We'll choose the Kling 1.5 model with some camera motion. So it's already added our dog, and clicking this button allows us to choose either forward up, down and back, or right turn or left turn. Let's do down and back, and we'll go ahead and describe the scene as a dog in Times Square is barking. And let's see if we can get some barking going on here. This will take about 10 minutes before it's done. By the way, every now and then you might see this come up. Sorry, this one failed. Please try a different prompt or model provider. The reason it fails can vary from a prompt that maybe goes into not suitable for work territory or in some other way breaks a term or condition of that particular model, or it could just be it's being used too much, so you might just try it again if you know that the prompt and the image is safe. But if you don't care, you just want this out of here, you can click this trash can here and all that won't clutter up your screen, and you can get back to the fun of like Santa riding a hippo, or a goblin eating meat off of a bone. Or how about this woman angry about what she's reading in the newspaper? Here's the Luma version of it. Here's the Runway version of it. You definitely get to recognize the styles of these things after a while. And here's Minimax, which I think, again, is the best. Way more expression, way more coherency. It's just way more interesting to look at. And she actually looks angry. Here's a dog ordering a drink in an airplane before they take off. Definitely Minimax. A girl playing with her mythical creature horse. A monster crawling out of the sea. All of these done within one platform. The plan I'm on right now that allows me to do all of this is about $60 a month, but how much are you paying for all of these other video generation services? The thing to consider is, do you need the little nuances, some of these new features that some of these video providers are adding that haven't yet made it to the KREA version of their model? If you need those things, well, then I guess you're still stuck with that subscription. But if you just like to be able to have options when it comes to your video generation, because you may need it for different things, there may be a style or a type of visual that you're looking for, then you might be able to find everything you need here. And their $60 max plan has given me a ton of generations, and I'm not even 50% of the way through yet. You can, of course, check your usage and see exactly where all your compute time is going. But if you've got the budget for it, the max plan is pretty great for generating a ton of content. And with those new fast Flux models and the ability to create your own, you really may not need to go outside of this platform to do what you need to do in terms of creating stunning content creation. I love that companies are at least attempting to help us with our subscription dollars by offering us packages like this that give us a lot of what we want. KREA is a great solution for people who need it to be really easy to create the images they want, plus have the pro model flexibility of Ideogram and Flux at their disposal, which a lot of these platforms do not have, or you have to pay exclusively for access to them. If these are the types of solutions you like to hear about, well, why not subscribe to this channel if that's not something you've gotten around to yet? It's just a click of a button, and these are the things we talk about all the time.
If you subscribe now, I will not look for you. I will not pursue you. But if you do not, I will look for you. I will find you, and I